Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hi. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this session on CAT 2026 preparation strategy. So we are looking at a 9-month strategy from March to November. A very, very crucial time for people to start preparing. So this video or this live session will be done in two parts, something which I want to talk about, and I can take some questions also as we go ahead. So if you all have some queries, you all can keep putting up there. Hello, everybody. Hello, good evening. So if you all have queries, you all can keep putting it up there. Most of it, I will be talking about a strategy. So you all can also just listen to what I want to say. Okay. So let's start with the first stage. So first stage is planning. Normally we keep talking about this stage as a very important stage. What planning do you really need to do? How do you need to plan this whole thing? That what is the plan? So first, identify yourself. I'm not even talking about your strengths. I'm not talking about whether you're a good Quant student, whether you're a good verbal student, not all that. Identify your profile. What are you doing? What are you doing? Which means, are you in college? Are you in the final year of college? Are you in the pre-final year of college? Are you working? Have you taken a gap year? What is it? Or do you have like a very busy schedule? You're also doing some internship and you're also in college. So what are you doing? Because based on that, you will have to plan your studies in such a way that you can understand how much time I can devote for studies, which is very important, because till you yourself are not confident about that whole plan, that I can devote time to studies, it is always going to be very difficult for you to understand that. Good evening. Just good evening to everybody. Good evening, Anuj. Good evening, Vaibhav. Okay. So So always understand what are you doing, or what is your profile, right? Because you need to have this plan in your initial stage, that how much time will I be able to devote. So when I speak to a lot of students over the last few weeks, months, I've been speaking to a lot of students, and also over the years, now it's more than 15, 20 years, when I keep speaking to students, there are some students who feel 2 hours is a lot. I will not be able to go about 2 hours. And then I meet some other students who says I can easily devote 5 to 6 hours. Well, let me be frank. If you've just started like a month ago, or if you're starting now in March, the bare minimum you need is 2 hours every day, or if it is not 2 hours every day, because I always believe that your weekends have to be very, very well utilized. So if it's you cannot make it 2 hours every day, I think everybody should be able to make it 2 hours every day. But if you're not going to be able to make it 2 hours every day, then at least make it like a 15 to 16 hours a week. Okay, which means make use of your Saturday, Sundays really, really well. See that on every Saturday and Sunday, if you're a working professional, especially, or if you're a college going student doing some internship, make use of your weekend really well. Also make use of all the public holidays in India. Like, I'm sure everybody who's working or is in college has at least one holiday coming up in the next 2 days, either tomorrow or day after tomorrow, depending which part of the country you're living in. You have your holiday for Holi, right? So based on that, you have to plan it. Okay, that I know that I have a holiday for Holi, and very frankly, even if you go and play Holi for 2 hours, I'm okay with that. But what are you doing for the remaining part of the day is what you really need to plan. So that whole planning stage is how much time will I be able to devote? How will I manage my college schedule with my CAT schedule, or my work schedule with my college schedule? That's a very important part. Second part to this is, the next part to this is, do I have any hectic months? Like, for example, let's assume you're in college. So you have your SEM exams coming up. If you're in the final year, you have your last SEM coming up in April, May, June, March, April, May, June, depending on what course you are in, whatever, you have your SEM exams coming up. Then plan for that. That I know that when my SEM exams will come up, I will need maybe a 15-day break. What will I be doing? Will I be able to study anything for CAT in those 15 days? Yes or no? Ask that question right now and have a truthful answer. You have been now writing exams for at least your SEM exams for the last 3 or 4 years. So you should be aware how tense are you during those days and all those things. And hence, you should know that will you need that break or not. All this comes within your planning. If you're going to need that 15-day break, then please, very importantly, pre-study the things which you're going to miss. Pre-study the things which you're going to miss. That is very important. Because once you plan it and study beforehand of whatever you're going to miss, it is always a great thing. Because then when you come back, you can at least start taking up those classes. Because otherwise, say you miss a part of, just giving an example, suppose you miss percentages and you miss profit and loss in arithmetic, which are very important areas. And then you come on the day, or say, and ratios you missed. And then you come on the day where there is simple interest, compound interest going on, or mixtures allegation going on, and suddenly you're lost. You feel, oh, I don't understand these topics because you missed very important base. So that is how you really need to pre-plan. Always, whenever you're going to take a break, try and understand from your mentors, whether you are at iQuanta, whether you're at any other class, try and understand from your mentors what will be done in that month or in those 2 weeks. And can you somehow cover that up before you take your leave? Okay? Yeah, perfect, Abhishek. So if you know that in June, so you need to pre-plan for that. Now, let's take it to the next step. So we spoke a lot about planning. Now, again, these planning don't have to be always college exams. They could be anything. They could be a wedding in the family, your sister's getting married, your brother's getting married. You know that you will waste 10, 15 days, right? Or you have some important project coming up in office. So all these things you'll have to plan. But yeah, you cannot plan for a holiday and say, okay, I will miss a 20-day class because I want to go for a holiday. That does not make sense. If CAT isn't going to be in November, yes, if you're preparing for CAT 27 and doing that now, it's no big deal. You can take that break. But if you're going to prepare for CAT 26 starting now or just started now, then I would not suggest to do that. Okay, let's go to the next stage. Is from March to June, July, whatever that is for you. And maybe some of you all might have started in February or Jan also. So Jan, Feb, March to June, July, which is your syllabus completion time. Let's look at it at area wise. I will first talk about Quant because I am a Quant faculty, Quant mentor. So I will first talk about QA. Okay. Now you need to identify your strengths. Where are you lying in QA? You could be an engineer from a very good college. Okay. Or even a BBA student from a good college. Or somebody who's taken some kind of entrance exams earlier. So a lot of students have taken the IPM earlier when they were preparing after their 12th standard, or the IIT students have taken the JEE or whatever. I know a lot of engineers have taken the AIEEE and all these exams. So you all know how an entrance exam works. For them, especially the ones who have some base of QA, maybe they don't need to do the first step which I'm discussing, but the others will have to look at the first step. Is covering the basics. And one more thing, you can't be waiting that, okay, I'll finish covering my basics and then I will start my main studies. Doesn't work. You're already in March. You can't delay it too much. You need to start kind of immediately. So you can't wait too long. Okay. So understand that part. And please, if you all have queries, I have kept my chat open. So you all can keep asking things according to what I'm discussing. Okay, don't ask random questions. According to what I'm discussing, you all can keep asking queries. I'll try and take them accordingly. Or then maybe towards the end, we'll take some questions. So covering the basics becomes very important for a lot of students who are not very good at Quant, who feared Quant in school, haven't done Quant for the last 5 years. How do they cover up? Say if you are an iQuanta student, then you go to what we call as the non-engineers QA module. And there is a surprise towards the end of the video, which I'll give you. So non-engineers QA module is what you start going through. Okay. If you're an iQuanta student, if you're not an iQuanta student, or if you are self-preparing or whatever, a very simple way to look at the ninth and the 10th standard textbook of school of any syllabus. Okay. Anuja will answer that question. I'm talking about that only now. So for the ones who are, they can open the ninth and the 10th standard textbook, and maybe for every day do 30 to 45 minutes of this stuff. Okay. Again, once you start doing, you will realize you don't need to do everything. You need to understand how a quadratic equation is solved. You need to understand the basics of time, speed, distance. You need to understand basics of geometry. You need to know what is an isosceles triangle, what's an equilateral triangle, 30, 60, 90 theorem kya hai, 45, 45, 90 theorem kya hai. Basics, they will be covered in every class. As I said, if you're an iConta student or any other student, some of the basics will be covered in every class. But if you've gone through the very, very basic stuff, and if you understood that, it becomes very easy for you in class. So I am not saying, Anuj, that you need to, I'm not saying that you need to do everything at one time, or don't keep waiting for the basics to get over and then start. One other very important thing which I have kept on saying in QA, again, whether you are an online student, whether you're an offline student, everybody knows what class is going to happen today. Say today, there is a class on, just for example, profit and loss, right? Can you go through at least the basic stuff for 15 to 20 minutes? And as I said, I don't really care where you go through it for. Okay, for the ones who want to make it easy, just follow the iConta channel. On the iConta channel, there's a playlist which I have recently created for arithmetic. You can start going through from there. It's in fact I have divided profit and loss into 2-3 parts and made 30 minutes videos, which you all can watch very quickly. Also, you don't need to watch it at very slow speed because there are very basic stuff. Okay, I've explained that in detail. Or you could watch it from somewhere else. I don't have a problem. You could watch it from wherever you want. Okay. I'm also looking at the chats which people are saying, and I'll try and take relevant questions. Okay. So now, every time you go for a live class, whether it's an online live class or an offline live class, revise that topic for at least 20 minutes bare minimum and go. I'm telling you, your learning will be enhanced by 2x. That's one of the, if somebody will ask me, sir, what is the most important thing you want me to do for CAT studies? I think this. And especially if you're a slightly weak student. So somebody who's very brilliant at maths and doesn't have a problem in maths, he can go for a live class. He or she can go for a live class just like that. But the others need to do that. Okay, so that's about quant. How would you go about quant? I would, normally when I tell people how much time should you devote to quant, so I tell people that whatever time you have for studies, you should divide it in this ratio between QA, LRDI and verbal. That means if you're going to study, say, just giving you an example, if you're going to study 16 hours a week, okay, if you're going to study 16 hours a week, divide it as 8 hours for quant, 4 hours for verbal, 4 hours for LRDI. That's how you break up your time. The reason being very, very simple. Again, depending on your strength and weakness, you can tweak this around a little bit. If you're very good at quant, you might, and you're very weak at verbal, you want to make it 6 hours and 6 hours maybe, because if you're very good at quant, you will be decent at LRDI also. There is no fixed rule, but mostly if you're decent at quant, you will also be decent at LRDI, and hence then you can break this up into 6 and 6. So now I will talk about how do you actually keep revising quant. Okay, if people who have met me recently or heard me recently, I talk about something like either what I call as a book which you want to maintain or a Word file which you want to maintain. Word file is better because you can also put screenshots there. Say you were just going through randomly through a live class, through a assignment class, through an application class, whatever, you were just going through something and you felt, wow, this question is very good, or random YouTube video, or you saw something in the book, you like something, take a screenshot, put it in that Word file. Okay. My whole idea is that every time I do that, I have something to revise. Because to study a chapter first time might take you 2 or 3 days. Okay, to study a chapter first time, when you're a when you want to study Quant for the first time, you might take 2 or 3 days. But to revise, you don't have that much time. Revision ke time pe, you'll have to do 2 to 3 chapters per day. And that is how you look at it. And this Word file which I'm talking about, where you will keep putting your screenshots, will help you revise that chapter. So Shravan, which you're asking me how to revise, this is what I call about revision. Also, keep moving ahead. Don't solve same questions again. So whether again, as I said, whether you're iQuant student or any other student, you will have something what you call as your live class. Okay, which will have say approximately 20 questions. Then iQuant has something called as an application class, which has another 20 questions. Then you have solving for assignments. Okay, you have 20 plus 20, 40 questions and assignments. And then there are some tests. So my point is that every chapter, you should look at around 70 to 80 questions from wherever you like. It doesn't matter too much. If you're going to a class, your class will give you that material most probably. And if not, then just buy a book from the market and revise. Okay. Now I'll make a special thing, a small 2-minute part for students who are doing self-study. I meet a lot of students, maybe due to affordability reason, time reason, whatever reasons, are not able to afford a class and are doing self-study. So for them, a very good way is go and buy a book from the market. Even if you go and buy it from a Raddiwala, a last year or last year ka book, doesn't matter. 100, 200, 500 rupees ka book if you buy, which just gives you a syllabus kind of thing. Okay, these are the 25, 30, 35 chapters. Roughly, I always believe Quant can be broken up into around 30 chapters. So these are the 30 chapters and I need to now go through these 30 chapters one by one. And you can subscribe to 2 or 3 good channels. iQuanta has, as I said, very good playlist. You can subscribe to us. We keep giving out a lot of free material and to others and you will keep revising that way. But the ones who can afford it and have the time, don't try that. Because a live class gives you structure. Okay, a live class gives you structure. It gives you some kind of motivation to stand up every day and come there. Also, it gives you a chance to speak to your mentors once in a while, which helps you to grow further. Okay, so syllabus deadline I've already spoken about earlier. Our syllabus deadline will have to be June, July, latest July. On the upper side, if you're too busy in life, 15th August. Okay, that should be a deadline for your syllabus completion. Yes, there are people who will start studying also in April, May, June, and they will do well. But everybody is not cut from the same cloth. Everybody is different. Somebody will require more time to complete syllabus. Somebody will take less time to complete syllabus. Okay. So roughly 80 questions per chapter is a good benchmark to tell yourself, okay, that I have done enough in this chapter, I need to move ahead. Yes, if there's a testing platform you're checking yourself with, great. If you can test and see how well you've done in that chapter, move ahead then. That's how I explain things. So, a lot of working professionals keep asking me, sir, how do, so here there's somebody, Saro9408 is asking me, sir, how do I manage with work 2 hours every day? If not 2 hours, manage 1.5 hours. I'm telling you a very simple, half an hour, that is 30 to 40 minutes. You can actually manage during lunchtime. Because most of the offices have a 1 hour lunchtime and you don't take more than 15 minutes to finish lunch. And then you can easily manage 30 to 40 minute studies. Okay. Most of you all travel during peak hours. Okay. 3 months are not necessary. Yeah, if 4 to 5 hours per day, 3 months can be decently enough for syllabus. Now, most of you all waste a lot of time traveling, especially coming back from office, because late evening, if it is a city like Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, where there's too much traffic, you waste too much time in traffic. For example, if you leave office at 7 o'clock in the evening and reach home at 8:30, but if you would have left at 9, you will reach by 9:30. So what should be the plan? I would rather leave 7 o'clock. I would leave the office, go to either a small library around me, or if not, go to a small cafe. You get very good quality, nice noise cancellations, earphones nowadays. Invest into one, start watching whatever you want to watch, maybe, and study from a cafe. It's now becoming a trend. Studying from cafes is becoming a trend. Go to a Blue Tokai or a Starbucks, and I'm sure they don't really bother you too much. So all these things are possible, manageable, and great. It will be great if you can sit in your office and study. That's the best. Nothing like that. If your office ends at 7 and if your office allows you to sit till 8:30 and study, I'm saying there's nothing better than that. That's the best thing to do. Okay. So that's how I would place the quant syllabus case studies. How would you study quant? And go chapter by chapter. The important areas in quant. What will be the important areas in quant? Arithmetic is a good place to start with. A lot of people also start with numbers. There's nothing wrong with that. Numbers gives you some base. It teaches you what is HCF, LCM, what are numbers, what are integers, what are rational numbers, all those things. But arithmetic is normally a good base because also a lot of your syllabus is from arithmetic. So if you like, it is said that if you really do well at arithmetic and you've done only arithmetic well and gone for CAT, you can still score a 90 percentile in quant. Okay, you can score. I am not, please don't mistaken me and say that 90% is quant. No, I said you can score a 90 percentile by doing only arithmetic well. Exactly, Mathesha, what I said, that studying 2 hours also on an every day is good enough, and weekend then get that 5-6 hours ka, time. It will really help. So always stay. One more thing which I always tell people, stay with your class. Don't lag behind too much. The biggest reason people give up on CAT or don't do well in CAT is because they lag behind too much. Stay with your class, do things regularly, and I'm sure you will do well. Okay. So, Saro, if you are doing live classes, application classes, then maybe you don't need to do 2 hours. Then maybe you can do the weekends and then you can study on the weekends a little bit more. Okay, that's my suggestion. Because then you're already studying for 4 hours a day, right? Okay, let's go to, so obviously after this, there is geometry, algebra, and there is geometry, and then comes modern maths. This is the order in which I would more or less want people to study. Okay, every area will have something which is important, something which is not important, which you will be able to find out from a lot of places. In fact, I made a video a couple of months back. It is still there on YouTube. I spoke about every area in depth and so on. Okay. Okay, let's go to LRDI. Let's take the next area, LRDI. And how do I really start LRDI? Again, if you look back last week, I created a video on how to start LRDI and what is the best way to start LRDI, or how much do I need to do. So in simple terms, LRDI, I always tell people work on 14 to 16 sets a week. This is bare minimum. Bare minimum 14 to 16 sets a week. People who are free can go to 24, 30, great. People who have more time can do a little bit more. The more you do, the better you will get. Simple. LRDI is something like that. Karte raho to improvement aayega hi aayega. There is no way you will not improve if you keep doing. Yes, do with sense, analyze the set, always work hard. Okay. Again, if you're an iQuanta student, the assignment at level 2 and some of the level 1 sets are actually very excellent sets. So please revise them well. Okay, I understand you'll have some doubts, and as we've said earlier also, most of the videos are now available for those sets also. So really excellent sets in the assignment classes. Please do them really well. Okay, so this is my benchmark for LRDI. Everybody needs to do 14 to 16 sets a week. Now, lot of people tell me, sir, will Sudoku, Kakuro, all these things help me? Yes, they will help you. But how? Let me give you an example. I'll relate with it sports. When you're playing cricket, one is you're playing cricket. The other is you're building up your muscle. So same way a Sudoku or Kakuro or any other games will help you improve your logic slowly. While what you actually do in your live class, your application classes or your practice is what is actually you need to do. Okay. You also need to solve CAT level sets sooner or later, not immediately. My advice to, depending on when have you started preparation, once you finished around 2.5 months of prep, then you should start your CAT level sets, which means you can start looking at past CAT and you can look at it. So roughly from 2017 onwards, we have all the papers available online, everywhere they're available. So 2017 to 2020 can be your first burst of papers, and then 21 to 25 can be your second burst. Okay. This will just help you understand what is the level of LRDI and CAT. Because initially when you're first preparing for 2.5 months, remember you're revising chapter by chapter. But as you go ahead, you will realize that you really need to practice that level of CAT level sets also. Very frankly, LRDI, there is no topic. So, Pragati, this is for you. LRDI, very frankly, has literally no topic. There's nothing like a topic in LRDI. Yes, sometimes you just need to know how to read a spider graph or some other type of graph, like candlestick graphs. Okay, but otherwise, very frankly, the rules are very generic. And most of the time, the rules are given within the sets. And in fact, that is my idea, that don't wait for LRDI to be really taught in class. Yes, there's a topic like binary logic. Maybe for that topic, you can wait for it to be taught in class. But arrangement, people are standing in a row, 5 people facing north, 5 people facing south. If I'm facing north, this is my right. But if I'm facing south, this becomes my right. That way, all those things are very generic. You can start solving. So I'll just give you an example, initially don't worry about how much time you're taking per set. Try to capture the logic. A lot of people, I've started noticing in class also, are worried so much about, oh sir, this set is such a long thing, it took me 25 minutes. Yes, it took you 25 minutes today, but it might not take you 25 minutes at the end. And that's how you look at it. Okay, let's go ahead. Next, coming to verbal, VARC. VARC is reading, reading, and more reading. Simple. Read a lot of content. Whatever you read, learn to analyze it. Read difficult language, because the CAT-ka VARC is slightly difficult language. Read those type of passages, those type of articles which make you think, oh, kya likha hai isme? What are they trying to say? Whether it can be about the war which is going on, it can be about economics, it can be about general history, it can be about philosophy. Once you read generally and you try to understand what the article is saying, then you will actually start understanding RCs. So a lot of people just depend on VARC for what is being taught in class or what is available. Yes, it is good, but if you read a lot more, it will help you a lot more. Okay, just don't go to random chat GPT articles. There are some good chat GPT articles. Shabana ma'am from Quant has put up some really good things over there. You all should have a look at that. Even Pragati DI, I don't believe. Percentages and all, once you, so you can always start DI. So this is Pragati's answer to Pragati's question. You can start DI after you have finished percentages and you have finished ratios. Once you finish this in your quant syllabus, you can start with DI also. Okay. In VARC, please devote time to RC and VA. Okay. Lot of people think LRDI and RC के लिए दोनों सबका एक ही आंसर है, या तो मुझे आएगा या तो नहीं आएगा, कभी कुछ इजी आ गया तो आ जाएगा, डिफिकल्ट आया तो नहीं आएगा. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. You have to have a plan to crack it. Okay, because RC is 2/3 of your VARC syllabus or a paper. So hence you need to crack that. You can never get a very good percentile by being weak at RC, because once you do RC, your summary questions will also move ahead accordingly. Yes, you will need to do VA, but that can come at a little bit at a later stage. Your first job is going to be RCs. Okay. Okay, I'm just reading. Yeah, so that board thing after one or two paragraph, Varsha, is a very important thing. You can't, that's where people who haven't read in their life, they haven't read novels, they haven't read books, haven't read articles, they can't hold their thought for that long passage. They forget what is happening in the first passages. So initially, very, very first few, when if I look at 15 years back when I started coaching for CAT, even though I was never going to coach VARC, but the day I wanted to solve an RC, what I decided was I took a piece of paper and I said I am going to make points. It took me half an hour to crack one RC, but I understood what is being spoken about. Yes, that may not be the right way for you, but at least that's how you will build up some concentration. Read smaller passages, try summary questions, smaller passages, and catch, and obviously the concentration will have to be very high. So this was syllabus completion area wise. I believe July end is a good time by when you should look at syllabus completion. Okay. Mocks, right time to start. And what about past CAT papers? How should we look at that? So mocks are very, very, again, I think the most important part of CAT prep. When I mean the most important, means somebody could say, I didn't do a couple of chapters in Quant, or I didn't practice enough sets in LRDI, but I have to give enough mocks. I have rarely seen a student do well in CAT without writing enough mocks. That number enough can be bare minimum 15 to 20 plus. Okay, 15 to 20 plus. So writing those mocks is bare minimum. I have known people going for 40 also, and I've known people for going for 10 also and do well. But most important part about the mocks is the analysis. Understand after every mock, where are you doing badly, where are you doing correctly, what areas are your strength, and what areas do you need to build on. Also remember, mocks is also a very, very important learning phase, because nowadays all the mocks have very good video solutions. I am not going to talk about anybody else, but at iQuanta, our mocks will definitely have very good quality video solutions. So hence these mocks video solutions will teach you how to handle each question properly in Quant, how should have an RC been looked at, how should a LRDI set be looked at, and so on. Okay, I'm trying to read questions. Sir, I'm preparing. I'm literally weak in quantum there. I've already suggested a lot of things, Kriti. So please keep looking at that. I will keep adding on something or the other. And as I've said, I have been available on Wednesdays and Saturdays for counseling sessions also for iQuanta and non-iQuanta students also. So you all should attend those also and come and meet me there also. Okay. So that videos on the mocks will really help you to improve your areas. After you finish 10 mocks, if you group all the questions of a particular topic and revise them, your revision will be mind-blowing. It can become really, really good. So these mocks and very good quality mocks become very important to write. Okay. Don't just go for a number. Don't want to go for 50 mocks, 60 mocks if you're not going to analyze them. Analysis is a very, very important part of mocks. What about actual CAT papers? Lot of people keep holding on to the CAT paper thinking like that they are, wo mera retirement fund hai. I will write it in the last week or the last 15 days and I will come to know from there how did I do in the, how would I have done the last year's CAT. That's a complete wrong strategy. I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why CAT paper should not be used like that. Because what happens, every time CAT happens, all mentors, whether they are at iQuanta or anywhere else, will have a look at those CAT papers, and whatever new or any different thing which was asked in that paper will be added in the syllabus somewhere or the other so we can teach it to you. Now what happens is, even though we didn't teach you the exact same question, but we taught you very similar questions and you've understood the concept. So you already have an advantage of over somebody who actually wrote it last year. So then how can you compare your score with somebody who wrote it last year? So please you use CAT papers only as revision material. It is revision and nothing else. Yes, maybe a couple of tests you can take as proper test, but otherwise, well, yes, you can still solve all of them, but don't expect that, okay, I scored CAT 24 ke paper mein, I got a 99 percentile, which means I should get a 99%, or I got a score which is equivalent to 99 percentile. So I am prepared for CAT 26 and I will get 99 percentile. That's a myth. So please remember that. So Pragati, I understand looking at RCs together is very difficult, but that's how you improve. Once you read a lot more, Pragati, that improvement will happen over a period of time. And as I said, somebody who's weak at verbal will have to give more time there a little bit. And that's important. Okay. So if I've been Kritika, whatever that is, Kritika, what I would do, I would not worry so much. Don't start analyzing yourself based on these things. That in fact, right now the mocks have not started. Today, though the questions ka level is slightly easier. When the mocks will start, you will suddenly feel, oh, these questions are a lot more difficult or whatever. My point is, keep going. And jo aajkal, everybody's heard it over Instagram lately. And maybe I heard it today morning. And again, I'm repeating it today. Instagram pe sab log Instagram pe main bhi hu. Everybody hears. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. This is for me a very important thing. Discipline. Are you showing up every single day? Simple. Yes, there will be some bad days, there'll be some good days, there'll be some pathetic days, some excellent days. It's okay. Are you showing up every day, studying every day for 2-3 hours? Some days in those 2-3 hours, you will feel so good that you might want to study for 1 more hour. And some days it's so bad after 1.5 hours that you will say today is not the day. Yes, there will be days when you will feel today is not the day. You know what you should do in those days? On those days, revise only concepts. Do some speed maths. Read an article. Don't solve actual questions. There will be days where you're exhausted. Just say, this is, I relate all this with everything. I relate CAT studies with everything. So one place you can relate CAT studies with is going to the gym. And especially not the ones who are gym freaks. You see, when you go to the gym and you see some of them are gym freaks, what do you look at them and say, boss, kaise ye log roz kar lete hai? And the ones who are trying to lose weight or, people who have never been to the gym and first time they go to the gym, for them it's such a struggle. But my point is, once you do show up every day, that's how work happens. And since the T20 World Cup is going on, I want to make one statement. CAT is not T20. CAT is a test match. Preparing for CAT is like preparing for a test match. It is a slow grind. You have to grind it out. You have to stay there. Difficult questions, easy questions, you have to look at it. And you have to keep going ahead. Why Vaishnavi? If you're only 20 years old, March 25 दिया था, 2025 का attempt दिया है, तो why not 2026? You should take the 26 attempt. Crash course revision time. So with mocks, a very important thing is revision. You need to keep going back. You need to keep going back to your drawing board, as I call it. जब तुम सॉल्व कर रहे हो मॉक्स, तुमको सडनली रियलाइज होगा कि एवरी टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस का क्वेश्चन आता है, आई डोंट डू वेल. गो एंड रिवाइज. एवरी टाइम आई सी सर्कल्स, आई डोंट डू वेल. Go and revise. And such ways you need to revise things really well. That is how you really revise stuff. Because from the mocks, whatever learning you will get, you'll have to come back, learn it, go back, and then apply it back in the mock. That is how the revision happens. So this is your crunch time. This is like your proper 4th and 5th day of the test match, where sometimes things are very difficult, and sometimes you're just surviving, sometimes you're scoring. All those things will keep happening. So crash course, revision, masterclass series, or whatever you'll have, different things you'll have, some workshops you will have, all these things you will keep doing. This is also the time where you will see a lot of people on YouTube coming up with 10-hour sessions and all that. Great. If you're comfortable doing a 10-hour session, do that. I'm okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. I might myself come up with a couple of 5-hour sessions. Okay. I don't believe in 10-hour sessions. I'll come up with maybe a couple of 5-hour sessions. So that's okay. It's how you handle it. Can you handle the pressure at that time is going to be very important. So that's crash course and revision time. So I was telling you right at the start that there is a surprise for you all, a pleasant surprise. So we are starting a non-engineers week where we are doing kind of a revision, a basic stuff, where we're doing number systems and arithmetic. I'll be taking up on Wednesday. Then there is LRDI from scratch with Raj sir. There is algebra for beginners, geometry and modern maths without fear, and revision and solving PYQs on 8th March. So that way we will actually take up these sessions every day in the next few days. I hope you're there for those sessions. And if you've not enrolled yet, and if you're an iQuanta student, there's a holy offer coming up. I'm sure you'll be able to use that really well. Okay. So for people who have more questions, you can put some questions in the chat. I'll try and answer them as many possible. And as I said, we have our counseling sessions also, where I also I'm there most of the Wednesdays and Saturdays. So you can come for those counseling sessions and you can ask more queries there. On a YouTube live, it's very difficult to answer everybody's queries, but I've tried and answer them as much as possible. Thank you so much, everybody. Good night. Thank you.